I'm Tim Timmons, and I'm happy to teach the saxophone and clarinet at REW Music. I try to make lessons fun for the students by incorporating the technical aspects of the instrument, the wind, the air, tone quality, but I also try to find pieces that they really enjoy, their favorite pieces. And I find that you can really tell when the student is on with a piece that he likes. He'll practice harder, he or she will practice harder, and they'll succeed much better if it's a piece that they like. But at the same time, it's got to be a piece chosen to work on the technical aspects that they really need to work on. So I hope that that makes it enjoyable for students, challenging them just a little bit, but not more than they can handle. That can get frustrating if they try to tackle too much at once. I hope the students will take lessons from me because I have had a lot of experience. I've had probably 40 years at university teaching beginners through the doctoral level. My students have placed in the top military bands. I have students that are soloists in the saxophone section of the top Marine band, Washington, D.C., also in the top Army band, Pershing's Own, and in some of the top Navy bands. They've made a career of it and they love it. Other students of mine have gone into university teaching and are teaching at some of the major universities around the country. Others are professional players, and that's all they do is play or perform and act as a studio musician in a large town. For me, the best and most rewarding part of teaching music is, of course, having the student get the proper notes correctly and all the right rhythms, but it's when the magic happens when they put all that together and it actually communicates something to other people. They actually are beginning to make music. And I did talk some about phrasing and emphasizing certain notes, and that's what helps make the music happen, as well as, of course, dynamics and tone quality, vibrato, all of that sort of thing. And when all these things pull together, to me, it is a magical moment for me and the student when they can get to that point. I'd like to start with a few comments on the All-State Music, #1 from the Bassi book. And at the very beginning of the piece, it's very important that you look at where the accent is in the second measure and also in the fourth measure. It's awfully easy for a student or even a professional to want to emphasize the high note first. For instance, in this case, it's the B at the end of the first measure. Even though it's the highest note of the phrase, you don't necessarily want to bring that out, but you do want to emphasize the following note, which is the important note of the phrase. Let me demonstrate. And that's what most people would do, but that is really not the correct way to do it. You want to make sure to emphasize the F sharp in the second measure, so it should sound like this. And of course, the last note, the end of the phrase, should trail off a little bit. And the same thing would happen then at the third and the fourth measures. At the end of the first line that we have, you want to make sure that you probably start that with your chromatic fingering for the F sharp, and then you go to the E sharp. And I hope most of you know that, I'm sure you do. But this is the chromatic fingering for the F sharp. And it avoids the flip-flop, which we try to do anytime we're playing the saxophone or clarinet. And also be very careful at the double dotted notes that occur a little bit later on. Make sure you count that correctly. Be very careful that you're not late or early and play a lazy 16th note after the double dotted quarter note. For instance, some people would play the 16th note, that's kind of a lazy way of doing it. But up to tempo, you got to be 1 E and a 2 E and a da 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 da. So make sure that you play that exactly correct and that you're subdividing in your mind as you play that. The rest of it is really pure technique, and you want to make sure that you practice it slowly to start with and work your way up in tempo very, very gradually.